The next part of persuasion is the actual argument itself. Now, argumentation happens in many different forms, but all argumentation follows a very particular shape, and then the shape sort of moves on from there, and we organize things in multiple ways. This video is talking about the basics of argumentation. And the basic argument structure is a triangle, or a pyramid, however you want to think of it. Okay? The 3 points of the triangle are claim, evidence, and warrant. Now, the claim we talked about in the last video. Claim is your possible truth. It is what you are trying to convince your audience of. It is the thing by the end of the speech that you want us all to believe or to do. Okay? Evidence is your content. It's your data. It's your information. It's the support for this claim. Okay? Evidence substantiates the claim. We can also say it bolsters the claim. Evidence is sort of the backbone of your argument. Okay? Warrant, then, the third point on the triangle, the warrant is your through line. It's your connection. It's your reasoning. The warrant is sort of the reasons why this claim becomes possible. The warrant does the work of your argument. Okay? The warrant is will take up the vast amount of language in your persuasive speech. Okay? Think about warrant from another perspective. If you watch sort of television cop shows, or legal shows, or movies with that kind of a line, the police or the lawyer needs something called a warrant to search a suspect's home. Okay? In that instance, the warrant is a piece of paper signed by a judge. However, on that piece of paper, the lawyer or the cop or whoever sort of has to list out all the reasons why, the evidence, why they think this suspect is guilty of what, or why they think they're going to find this piece of evidence in their house. They've already made the argument. So when it just comes to linguistic persuasion, the warrant still does that. It lays out the thought lines and the connections between the evidence and your claim. Okay? It's the reasons why this matters. It's the reasons why we should do it. It's the reasons why this makes sense. These reasons can be stated or implied. Most of the time, stated reasons, stated warrants, and then explained, detail-oriented warrants are going to have more success. Okay? They're going to also be the most tightly controlled. Giving the speaker sort of pulls their audience members along through the argument so that the audience member ends up with the same conclusion the speaker is trying to get them to actually get to. Okay? If you have a weak or implied warrant, you can't guarantee, well, you can never guarantee, but you're not going to be able to make your audience necessarily believe what you believe, or think what you think, or side with you, side the way you are siding. Okay? If we look at the percentages in this claim, evidence, warrant triangle, the claims in your speech, and there will be more than one, there will be a handful of claims, will take up, I'd say 1 or 2%. They're literally just a handful of statements you make that these are the things you're trying to convince us of. Okay? Just the individual statements themselves. The evidence is going to take anywhere between, usually I'd say between sort of 10 or 15 and 25% in most speeches. Okay? And then that means then the warrant is the rest of the speech. Okay? The warrant isn't just a statement. It isn't just a couple of pieces of evidence. The warrant is you thinking through your argument. It is all of that connection work. It is you talking through your argument so that by the end of the argument, the audience understands what it is you are trying to do. Not just understand. So the warrant, like I said, the warrant does the work of arguing. Okay? So if I make a claim, my claim is that strawberry ice cream is the best ice cream. Okay? Great. I can say that, but saying that doesn't convince anybody. Saying strawberry ice cream is the best ice cream because I like it, that doesn't convince anybody either. Though I like it is the beginning of a warrant. Okay? Think about the nature of triangle. Claim, evidence, warrant. Almost always we start with a claim. Okay? Almost always. meaning not always, but usually we start with the claim. And then from there, we can follow either line down the triangle. We can next go to evidence, or we can and then finish up with warrant, or we can state our claim and then dive right into warrant and then back that warrant up with evidence. They both work. They're both correct. They're both acceptable. It depends on the way your brain thinks. When it comes to persuasion, trust the way you are thinking through your material. Okay? So let's start with our claim. Strawberry ice cream is the best flavor of ice cream. Okay? Well, I need some evidence. Actually, no. Before I need some evidence, if strawberry is the best flavor of ice cream, what I'm really trying to do is get to that idea of best. So I need what are called minor claims. Every speech, like I said, every speech has multiple claims within it. One major claim and then a list of minor claims. Usually between 3 and 5, though that depends on how you build your argument and how long your speech is. Okay? So if my first minor claim, and a minor claim sort of convincing us of a minor claim will ultimately help convince us of the major claim. The major claim is strawberry is the best flavor of ice cream. So my first minor claim might be that strawberry ice cream is fun. All right? That's a minor claim. It's a value claim. Strawberry ice cream is fun. Well, I need some evidence. What makes strawberry ice cream fun? I'm going to come up with a piece of evidence, visual evidence. Strawberry ice cream is pink. All right? That's my piece of evidence. All right? Then you need warrant. Why does strawberry ice cream being pink make it fun? So my warrant might sound something like this. Strawberry ice cream is pink. Pink is the color of confetti. Pink is the color of party hats. Pink is a color people put on when they want to feel bolder. Pink is a color that is out of the norm. It's out of the ordinary, especially for fruit. So if a fruit is pink, because strawberry ice cream is made from strawberries, if a fruit is pink, then it's kind of a little bit more fun. It's kind of a party going on already. And because you're at this ice cream party and you're having pink strawberry ice cream, you're already 5 steps ahead of the game. Strawberry ice cream is the best flavor of ice cream because it's fun, because it's pink. You see how that logic works? You know, and that's what you want to do with your argument structure here, with your argument triangle. You want to be able to talk all the way through it. Start with your claim, move into your evidence, expand on the argument, make the actual argument with your warrant, and then finish up back at your claim. First at your minor claim, and then connect that back to your major claim. Because that major claim is ultimately the thing you are trying to convince us of. The major claim of my speech is not that strawberry ice cream is fun. It's rather that strawberry is the best flavor of ice cream, but it's the best because it's fun. And then we can go to the next, what it's called a line of argumentation. Okay? The next claim we're going to use. Strawberry ice cream is better for you than other forms of ice cream, other flavors of ice cream. Okay? So I need evidence. What makes strawberry ice cream better for you? I'm going to say strawberry ice cream is healthier, all right, which might be sort of a secondary minor claim there. Strawberry ice cream is healthier because it's made from strawberries. It's made from fruit. Fruits and vegetables are not something we normally consider in desserts. They give us nutrients that we need as opposed to sort of the empty calories and usually nutrient-less foods that are desserts. So strawberry ice cream is better for us because it's healthier, because it's made from fruit. And then I go into that, and then I sort of expand that a little bit. Okay? Fruits give us this, this, and this. I'm going to do the research, and I'm going to get specific, and that's also going to be evidence. You'll notice I sort of bounced back and forth a little bit between evidence and warrant. You can do that. You don't have to give us all of your evidence in one chunk and then give us all of your warrant. You can give us one piece of evidence and then a little bit of warrant, another piece of evidence and then another little bit of warrant. You can bounce back and forth. As long as you have all 3 of these pieces, claim, evidence, warrant, you have a complete argument. Okay? No matter what kind of argument pattern you use, we're going to talk about argument patterns in the next video lecture here. But regardless of argument pattern, as long as you have this basic shape, this basic structure of the triangle, you have a complete argument. Claim, evidence, warrant. Okay? Think of that shape for a second, a triangle. A triangle is simultaneously a very strong shape and a very weak shape. If you place a triangle on its base, it's very strong. You're not going to be able to knock it over. If you place a triangle on one of its points, it's incredibly weak. A minor slight gust of wind, or, somebody sort of waving their hand past the triangle, creating a little bit of wind, will knock that triangle over. Okay? So when you have a complete triangle, claim, evidence, warrant, your argument, your speech becomes very strong, especially if you're connecting all three pieces. If there's a crack in any one of these pieces, in your claim, in your evidence, in your warrant, your argument is likely to fall apart. All three pieces are necessary. Okay? Claim, evidence, warrant. So you see on the slide here, we have one more element of basic argumentation, and that's the need. Okay? What does accepting your claim mean? Okay? That's what this need is. Sometimes you see the word need is in parentheses. Sometimes we place this underneath the argument triangle, and sometimes we place this in the center of the triangle. The need is an emotional need. It's not a basic need like food, water, clothing, shelter. It's also not, an informational need, as in the need of my speech is to make people understand that such and such a thing is true. Okay? The need is emotional. What does accepting your claim mean? Let's go back to my strawberry ice cream is the best flavor. What does accepting that mean? Accepting that strawberry ice cream is the best flavor means that I'm stepping outside the box and not choosing a basic ice cream. And if I'm not choosing a basic ice cream, then I'm different and unique and creative. And I need to believe that about myself because that makes me feel good. That gives me positive self-esteem. Okay? It's not a practical need. It's an emotional need. We're obviously going through some things in the world. People go through things in the world all the time. And if you can plan your argument to meet an emotional need, your argument will be stronger. It's not necessary. It's not part of the argument triangle. You have complete, substantial argument without it. But if you have this emotional need sort of running all the way through your argument will be stronger. If you haven't already done so yet, watch the Simon Sinek video. Great leaders, how do great leaders inspire us, or something like that. Simon Sinek draws that golden circle. Why in the middle, then how, and then what on the outer circle. The Simon Sinek why inside the middle of that golden circle, that is your emotional need. Okay? Why does this matter? Why is this important? Why is it necessary? What do I get if I accept your argument? What do I get if I do the thing you want me to do? What do I get if I believe like you believe? Okay? What does that mean for me? Like I said, it's an emotional need. So this isn't about practicality. This isn't about tangible need. This isn't food, water, clothing, shelter. This is emotional. It's, how does this make me feel good about myself, about the world, about anything? How does this make me feel bad? Think about emotion. We have positive emotion and negative emotion. Positive emotions are things like love and connection and belonging and friendship and safety. Okay? Negative emotions are things like fear and anxiety and embarrassment and humiliation and terror. As adults, we recognize that we're going to feel some of those negative emotions every so often, but we want to do what we can to feel them as seldomly as possible. Okay? Emotion can be a great motivator. That's pathos in argumentation. That means that planning your speech to dip into emotion is going to give your speech and your argument an edge. Okay? This emotional need is an injection of pathos. It's not required to have argument, but it will make your argument stronger. Both positive and negative emotions can be used to shift your persuasion or sway your audience. Okay? And there's no sort of one is better than the other. Positive emotion is better than negative emotion or vice versa. That's not true. Think about the subject matter. Think about how you've constructed your argument, and then think about your own sort of personal feelings on your topic. And that will sway you either into positive or negative emotions.